Welcome to another episode of the KISH debate. It's me, D, and Hugh over there. Don't say
Hey,
anything. I just mentioned your name. They ain't got to see you right now. Look, you done got me heated up. You're heated up. Why are you heated up? That's your introduction. Why are you heated up?
uh, because the Warriors lost and you somehow blame Steph Curry, who wasn't even in the game.
I blame Steph Curry because he landed on his butt.
Well, that wasn't really his fault.
Okay, whose legs was he wearing?
You know what? I ain't even going to dig into that.
All
That
right
was an
then.
answer.
Okay, all right. We're moving on from that. I'm just saying, man, you're already worked up before we got going. Well, you were fine earlier till you watched the
You know,
game. I don't know what you were expecting.
okay.
Anyway, let's move on. So, like I said, this is the debate. I don't even know what we're calling this yet. Obviously, it'll be in the title. It's basically like part 3 of foundation pieces. This is basically like us choosing some players that you'd rather see that's already on the team, that you'd rather see stay over the other if they were to trade one of these players from their respective team. Since you're worked up, Hugh, I'm just going to let you. I'm gonna let you take the first one and throw out the two players, and probably take the easy win just to build up your confidence a little bit.
Yeah, appreciate that one there. All right, so the first thing we're discussing is Golden State Warriors. I said we wanted to go with a couple of younger guys and stuff. So I said that I would.
Oh, just to remind people, or to let people know, but to remind us that these two players, we're also considering that the other main players on the roster, if they're not the main players, are still on the roster. So you're just trading away one of these guys, but you're keeping essentially most of the rest of the team.
Yeah, that's a good point.
Yeah.
Okay, but I said to hang on to Andrew Wiggins. And
No. Wait. What are the two choices here?
Andrew Wiggins and Kelly Oubre Jr. And yeah, I picked Wiggins. I mean, and I don't even know how you can side with Oubre, to be honest, but it's all right. It's all right. So let's get into this. All right. So I want to start off first with saying I'm gonna take a shot at you. We were in a fantasy league. We were in a fantasy league, and you had Oubre, and all you did was trash Oubre and trash Oubre and trash him. Every day you ask me if I wanted to trade for him. And so the fact that you're taking him now is kind of perplexing to me. But do what you got to do. It'll make for a good debate. But so if you just look at just this season, I'm just talking this whole thing. I'm just gonna be talking numbers from this season and whatnot. So if you talk about this season, Wiggins is averaging more points. Wiggins is averaging more assists. He's averaging more 3-pointers made per game. They're averaging about the same in steals. Wiggins is averaging more blocks a game. So Wiggins, those statistical categories, he's winning most of them. Oubre hasn't beat by about a board a game.
Well, wait a minute. We're not just going to do it off of numbers, are we?
No. I'm just stating that.
Okay. Oh
no,
shall I let you finish? So I want to go in. Shall I let you finish?
Yeah, let me finish.
All right.
But so the thing from watching a lot of Warriors games this season, being a fan and all, Wiggins, I mean, they both had their moments, I believe. They both been hot and cold and stuff like that, but I feel like Wiggins is a lot more consistent. He doesn't always put up numbers that'll wow you. I know a lot of times he scores in the teens and maybe in the low 20s. He's good number 2 behind Curry. Oubre, he will be extremely hot, extremely cold. Like tonight, he put up what they say 24 against the Sixers, something like that. Like he was going off tonight, hitting threes. But then what was it? 2 games ago against Memphis, he only scored 4. So
all
I
right,
mean,
wait a minute.
Hold on. Let me finish. You gotta let me finish. You can't cut me off mid debate.
Well, it's a debate. I want to get in there.
Okay, well, just let me say what I gotta say, and then
I want to follow up on what you're saying.
Okay, well, write it down.
I want to go at you right now.
So like I said, Oubre has that potential, but he is extremely, extremely inconsistent. Too inconsistent for my liking. Out of all the players that I hope the Warriors trade, Oubre would be at the top of my list. You know, I don't want a player who's good one night and is terrible the next night. I remember me and you were watching a Warriors game. It's been a while ago, and Oubre cost them the game at the end. He kept taking outrageous shots. He had like 3 turnovers in the last couple minutes, and he cost us the game. But yeah. So I'm just not personally. I'm not huge on Oubre. Wiggins this season. He's been in the league for a little bit. This season with the Warriors, you know, sometimes in his career, I don't know if he's ever been the true number one guy. But you know, he's been up there, you know, on all the teams he's been on, and you know, this year just probably number 2 on the team behind Curry, but he's averaging actually the highest field goal percentage and 3-point percentage in his whole entire career this year. So I think that speaks volumes as him not as a number 1 guy, but you know, like a solid number 2, possibly even a number 3 if we're talking about when Clay's healthy. I think he fits in great with that. I think he's a better defender than Oubre. I think Wiggins can do a lot more if it's the last shot of the game, and I got to pick between these 2 guys. I'd take Wiggins 10 out of 10 times taking that shot, and Oubre, in my opinion, is way too inconsistent for me to hang on to him over Andrew Wiggins. Now the floor is yours, Dave.
Oh, okay. Well,
Let's hear
let
it.
me. I will give you this. Yeah, I did say that Oubre was trash when he started out the season. I think a lot of us know that he was breaking a bunch of shots. I mean, going 0 for 6, 0 for whatever. You know, whenever he made his first 3 games down the road. But you mentioned consistency, and Wiggins, man, and then you mentioned that him being like the number 2 option, and him possibly being a number 1 option. He was number 1 option when he was drafted. He was drafted number
For how
1.
long?
What do you mean how long? He was drafted number 1 for the Timberwolves his whole rookie season until Karl Anthony Towns came along.
Well, I just said. Well,
my
I mean,
thing
he's a rookie
with
there too. I
Oubre,
mean, he's developed now.
I mean, good gosh, he's been in the league long enough to develop as a starter. I mean, Kelly Oubre, at least what we might consider starting from the bottom. He was a 2nd round pick. I mean, when the Golden State Warriors traded for Wiggins, I don't know if they absolutely thought they were getting the better end of that trade. I mean, Wiggins has never been an all-star. D'Angelo Russell was at least an all-star. Kelly Oubre, on the other hand, when they did get Kelly Oubre, they were thinking that they were getting a better product. They were wanting to trade up. So, yeah, they started off rough with Kelly Oubre compared to Wiggins, but Kelly, man, yeah, I mean, at this point, also, I got to consider that next season when Clay comes back, I mean, Oubre could be that scrappy guy, and it's okay if he's breaking shots. Don't pass on the ball. But Wiggins, you know, you could just trade him now
That's what we got Draymond for.
to brick shots.
No, for another chippy guy and don't pass him the ball. We got Draymond to do all.
Oh, you know, you like when Oubre gets everybody riled up when he does that thing for turnover, you know, that going on and then doing the push-ups like he's LeBron James off the floor. I mean, what is Wiggins doing? Is he looking like a number 2
Wiggins
option?
making an impact. Wiggins putting up better numbers.
I mean, he's putting up numbers, but it's going to be a different team next season.
I like
It's
what
gonna be a
Oubre
different team
brings. I
next
like
season.
what Oubre brings. I like
That's
what Oubre brings.
Okay.
He brings a lot of intensity. He fires up the team. You know, Wiggins is more soft spoken. He don't do much. He don't react much. You don't see him. You know, you don't see him doing that stuff. But
I'm glad you mentioned that. So you like soft players. That's what the Warriors like, right? Soft players.
no.
Whoa. No.
Is
You just say
Draymond a soft player?
Soft. Exactly. He's
Draymond
not.
a soft player.
So Oubre would fit that system better, in my opinion. You know, a soft player. Wiggins is soft.
Okay, but like Curry and Clay aren't the most outspoken people.
They don't have to be. Draymond Green is, but their game's way better than Wiggins. Their game's way better than Wiggins. You need another. You need another Draymond.
I'm not saying Oubre is a bad player. I'm just saying that
I'm just saying why I picked Oubre. You mentioned a bunch of points, so you made me go last.
Okay, so here's the thing. Yeah, he's better at firing people up. He's better at doing that stuff. That's the reason you'll keep him. What about stats?
That's the reason why I'm going to keep him. That's the reason why I'm going to keep him.
Stats matter.
It'll be cheap. It'd be cheap. I want to keep him for that reason.
I'm not talking about prices. I'm not talking about
it's all
prices.
about this.
Prices
Whoa. No, you want to bring up the numbers. You want to bring up the stats, the overall stats for their career, but you don't want to bring up the price. I mean, yeah, I don't know the numbers exactly, but I want to bring up the price. I can't bring up the price. Hugh, it's all about the venue.
Hold on. So you can sit here and say that you can see the Warriors having more success with Oubre in their starting five than Wiggins in their starting five. Is that what you're telling me?
That's what I'm saying. I'm saying it.
As a fan,
I know a lot of people
I
are probably not gonna agree
100%
with me.
disagree.
It's all right. Disagree, buddy. It's okay.
Shaking my head.
Oh, okay. We're gonna bring that up into it. Okay. Yeah, Oubre probably will get traded, but yeah, you don't want soft players. You just said it yourself. I'd rather have Wiggins gone than Oubre. That's just my opinion. You could probably get more for him too, because people like you, if they're GM, and they could be like, oh yeah, let me get Wiggins because he's a number one draft pick that hasn't been an all-star. Bust.
as a past number one pick, I would say he probably hadn't lived up to that hype. But as a solid contributor, a lot more better contributor than Oubre.
If you look at the numbers, I want to look at the impact that he has on his team. Draymond Green, what did you?
Oubre lost us games.
What did you just tell me about Draymond Green? What did he say? What did he say? Say it.
What do you mean? What did he say?
What was Draymond Green's statement today?
That he thinks he's the best defender in the NBA history.
See that confidence there? Whether or not you agree, that's confidence in what he's doing and what he's bringing. He knows his impact on the floor for the team and against other teams. It's not that he's got to put up these ridiculous numbers. It's just like, hey, I know what I got to do. I know how to scout these players. I know how to scout these teams. I'm going to make plays that is going to get on the team's nerves. And that's what Oubre does. I mean, when you watch him, half the time you feel like I don't even want to watch him. I mean, do you feel like that? Are you a big fan of watching Oubre?
Tonight I was. He balled out tonight. But, I mean, like I said, 2 games ago,
when
he
he
had
has
4
those
points
games
against Memphis. And then he puts up 24 against the Sixers.
Every win is essential. Know your role, Hugh. Wiggins is consistently underperforming most of the time.
But I think you're wrong. Being a Warriors fan, okay, I'm not gonna hold on to a guy who is pretty much worse in every category that matters because he fires up the team. Yeah, he does great. You know, he gets turnovers and he fires up the team and the crowd if there was a crowd there, and he does that. Okay, but what about the next game when he shoots 0 for 6 for 3-pointer from 3, and he has 3 turnovers in the last 5 minutes that cost you a game? When Wiggins is quiet and he's just over there doing what he's asked to do.
Well, Wiggins is quiet and he's doing what he's doing because there's nothing really to play for a lot. I mean, y'all are trying to make the playoffs, but Klay Thompson's not there, man. Klay Thompson is not there. We've seen Wiggins. We've seen him play with Karl Anthony Towns, where, even if he's not a number 1 option, he's a number 2 option. We've seen that. How many times they make the playoffs? Oh, yeah, that's right. Once when Jimmy Butler was added to the team.
Can't blame Wiggins for all that, though.
Okay, let's see if y'all make the playoffs. If not, I'm blaming Wiggins.
I'm
blaming Wiggins.
If
Oubre's trading, you don't make the playoffs, it's Wiggins' fault.
No, does Oubre make the playoffs a lot?
Huh?
Does Oubre make the playoffs a lot?
Oubre has been traded from team to team because the team thinks that who they're trading for is better than what they're giving away.
I like Oubre's hair. I'll give him that. But
all right, shout out to the hair. Let's move on to the next one.
Yeah.
Next one. The Raptors. What are you taking the L? Put on your forehead.
No, I see you taking the L.
Throw it up.
I pointed at you and then I did the L.
No, don't point. Don't give me the finger. Put it down. Look, the next Fred VanVleet versus Pascal Siakam for the Raptors. I trust Fred. That means you got Siakam, right?
That's correct.
You want the floor for this one?
Sure.
Huh?
Sure. Okay, so this one was kind of tough. I'm gonna do this. I'm gonna do this based off, let's say, VanVleet. So VanVleet would get traded in this instance, and Kyle Lowry would still be there. So that's how I'm gonna roll with this. Okay, I know if you look at their numbers for this season, that VanVleet has Siakam beat in about every category, obviously except for rebounds a game. He's only averaging. Well, VanVleet's averaging 20.1 points a game, and Siakam is 19.8. So I mean, he's right there at him. He's averaging 2 more assists, about 2 more 3-pointers a game, about 1 more steal a game. And I was actually shocked to see that Van Fleet is actually averaging more of a block than Siakam is. That kind of took me by surprise there. I wasn't expecting that. But my thinking behind this one was I can see the easy argument for Van Fleet. I mean, he's obviously, if you're looking at stat wise, which apparently you're not, he's better in a lot of categories. Siakam, I've always just been big on Siakam. And, in 2019, he won the most improved player. I believe no, I'm not going to say that. I don't know if I'm right on that.
I'm just going to cut you off right there.
Go ahead.
That's great. 2019, he won the award, most improved. I think he stopped improving. I mean, my gosh, man, I'm expecting a lot more this season from him than what I'm getting. Like, yeah, there's still room to grow, but man, Fred's making the leap, in my opinion. I mean, give that man an award. See what he does.
I mean, yeah, I'll give you that. And yeah, another thing too with Siakam that this year his shooting is down. His field goal percentage and his 3-point percentage, I don't believe they're the lowest in his career, but they're down from past seasons. But one thing I have noted that I wrote down is that right now, his steals per game, his assists per game, and his rebounds per game are all highest in his career so far this season. So I think that he has taken, he's noticed, obviously, he's not scoring the ball as much as he has past seasons, but I feel like he's stepping up in other categories, which I feel is important. Van Fleet, he's obviously a big part of, what the Raptors are doing, a big part of their offense, but he is actually averaging his lowest field goal percentage and 3-point percentage in his whole career this season. And just like Siakam, well, they're not the lowest in his career, but then also I looked at Van Fleet's numbers, and his assist numbers and stuff like that might have been slightly more, but they weren't, a considerable amount more like Siakam. So it seemed to me that Siakam was like, my shooting's down and I'm aware, but I'm going to improve in other categories to help combat that. I'm not, I'm shooting 3% less than the year before. So, I'm going to do 3 more assists a game and stuff like that. And Siakam, it seems like he's trying to transition a little bit into becoming better, an all-around player, just not as much of a scorer. And it seems like Van Fleet, he's not really taking that step yet.
Let's just
I don't know.
Let's take a little stroll down memory lane. Let's say 2019, Applebee's after work. You remember that, Hugh?
Yeah, I remember that.
Finals. Remember the finals that year?
That night. Yeah.
Well, who was in the finals? Go ahead and remind the people.
Raptors and the Warriors.
The Raptors and the Warriors. All right, and who in particular was playing for the Raptors? That's no longer on the team.
Kawhi Leonard.
Kawhi Leonard, yes, he was, I guess, the go-to guy. But with outside of his performance, with Siakam and Ibaka, Kyle Lowry, and Fred, the way it was looking, it looked like Siakam was going to be that guy that, okay, if Leonard does not stay, at least they have a piece to develop and kind of build around, and they still have their core. They're not really giving up anything. They brought in Leonard to win a championship, which ultimately they accomplished. So, they got what they wanted, and Kawhi got what he wanted. And like I said, he won that award in 2019, Siakam did. And after that, it's like, okay, man, I wasn't expecting this guy to be Kawhi Leonard the next season, but I'm like, there's a big gap there. They're basically saying you're the number 1 option now. You're taking over Kawhi's spot. I'm expecting this guy, okay, you might not develop much after that, but, you still have a chance to grow, and then maybe you can develop more of your 3-point game because you're given that extra volume of shooting and doing whatever you need to do as a self playmaker or scorer. But I'm just not seeing enough, in my opinion. Maybe I'm not watching enough of his games, but I just felt like there's more to be wanted from him. And Fred, I think he just has an incredible story. I'm not trying to dive into that, but from where he came from, being undrafted and to what he did last year and the year before, got him a nice size contract over the offseason, but he's still playing good game. I mean, with the way the Raptors are looking, they're trying to trade Kyle Lowry, so they're getting rid of the veteran player. They're not really making big strides for the playoffs. They're losing games they should be winning, but I think Fred's the man. Yeah, I think he might be a little bit older than Siakam, but that doesn't mean
a year older.
Okay, that doesn't mean you can't keep Siakam in this. I'm not trying to say trade Siakam, but I'm trying to say like be more team friendly towards Fred. Make him your center focus and build around that. I mean, the guy, I felt like if the Raptors didn't re-sign him, that the Knicks should have went in on him and just let him do his thing for that team. That would have been awesome in my opinion to see him with Randall and those guys. But yeah, like I said, he's there with the Raptors. I think that should be the center focus.
Yeah, I mean, yeah. Shout out cousin Fred.
Yeah, what up, cuz? Yeah,
twins right
there.
there.
Glad to have you back on here before long.
Yeah, but I mean, this is, in my opinion, this is kind of like the last one where you said, a lot of people probably agree with me about Wiggins. I expect, probably most people to agree with you on VanVleet. It's not a bad. I don't think you can go wrong with either of those guys, really. I just personally, I have maybe a little bias towards Siakam, but
no,
I understand. I get what you're saying, but
I mean, that was a tough one.
Yeah, I just, when I think of Siakam, I think of 2019 most improved player making the All-Star team. I think that's Siakam, and
I mean, again,
he probably has.
If you would have asked,
lowered it a little more, but
if you would have asked this question last year, I probably would have went the other way. But it's another year gone by, and I'm just expecting more.
Yeah, and I mean, it is kind of a blow to my argument with his percentages down, but I think
wasn't he an All-Star last year?
Percentages, I think so, but his percentages were down. His field goal percentage and his 3-point percentage are down this year, but I think it's a big deal that his assists have gone up, his rebounds have gone up. He's maybe trying to do more in other ways to help out the team. So I like that, even though his numbers are lacking shooting wise a little bit, that he's helping in other categories.
We'll leave that one as a to be continued. Let's go to the third one. This is an interesting one. Let me take the viewers and listeners back to episode 8, because this is Denver Nuggets here. When you said about Jamal Murray that Denver should trade his bleep, and we know what the word is. And so this debate here, this is between Michael Porter Jr. and Jamal Murray. And surprisingly, I'm taking Jamal Murray, which means you've got MPJ. And I like when you take the floor, but I will throw in a little bit and then kind of chip in away at you again. I'm choosing Jamal Murray because I just like, like I said, we're not moving a whole bunch of other pieces, just talking about these two guys relatively. And I like Jamal Murray with the dynamic of Jokic, one's playing in the backcourt, one's playing in the front court. So I like that in and out game. I just really like that. And even if Jamal is not having the best of season to start, what we've seen in the past, like, I just think that he's the guy that I want to see with Jokic the most when it comes to the players that's currently on the roster. And more so from my argument for Jamal Murray is my argument against MPJ. I think MPJ is a tremendously talented player, and almost to the point where I think maybe he's too talented to play with this roster. And that takes me back to one of our other episodes when we talked about a possible, league expansion. I think I did that one because I just think that he would be a guy to kind of start a franchise around and help, a team that wants to rebuild, because he's just that talented. But when you're talking about a pairing, I don't really want to see him cluttered up a lot with Jokic. Like, I just rather see them stick with Jamal Murray if there was a situation where they had to figure out which direction to go with the team and who to trade. I think they could get a lot of value from MPJ if he stays healthy this season, and let's say it's sometime next season or a year from now in the middle of next season. If he stays healthy, which was his biggest issue with getting drafted, he was one of the most talented players in his draft pool. That You might have a gold mine on your hands as far as getting other pieces that you need to for your system that gives you further push in the playoffs. But yeah, my pick is Jamal Murray for sure. Like that's just who I'm rolling with.
Yeah, well, I disagree.
What's up with that delay? You thinking about something?
Sorry,
What you got?
yeah, I was thinking.
What,
This
did I
one's
change your
interesting.
mind? Did I
No,
change
you
your
didn't
mind?
change my mind. No, you
Sure, I
didn't
didn't change
my
your
mind.
mind. I think you like Jamal Murray in this one as well.
You know my feelings on Jamal Murray.
What is your feelings on Jamal Murray?
I don't like the guy.
Why don't you like the guy?
I don't think he's a good player. I think you trade him, you get any other point guard. Probably, to be honest here, probably what's it 30? I would probably say get about 20 other starting point guards, and that team would do better. That's just what I gotta say.
Really?
Yeah.
That's
That's how
interesting.
I feel. I mean, Murray. I'm not gonna knock his play that much. I think I did some of that episode 8, like you touched on. I don't like how inconsistent the guy is. We knew who he was, but in the bubble last year, he kind of took over. I mean, he played amazing in the bubble. Amazing, and I'm not going to knock that. And this season started, we're like, all right, well, let's see how he can carry over. Let's see how he can carry over.
I mean, what if he has one of those like LeBron type of things? Like, not saying that he's LeBron, but when he gets into playoffs, he just boom, he ramps it up. I mean, isn't that what the Denver Nuggets are striding for? I mean, obviously you want to make the playoffs, but then when the playoff times come, you don't want to be a Kawhi Leonard. You want to be a LeBron James.
Yeah,
well,
that's yet to be seen. We'll see.
I mean, we saw it last year.
They didn't win it, did they?
I mean, good grief. They made it to the conference finals. It's going against LeBron. Matt.
More.
You know what that is? Yeah. So, I mean, what are you going to do with that, bro?
Who got on that for? Jokic or Murray, though?
What's that?
Who you think carried them? Jokic or Murray?
Both of them. I mean, you didn't see the battles between Murray and Donovan Mitchell? I mean, either one of those teams could have been in the conference finals.
But yeah, that's last year. Like you said about Siakam, we ain't talking about last year. We're talking about now.
We're not trading Jokic. It's between Michael Porter Jr. and Jamal Murray.
I know. Yeah, we're getting off topic a little bit. But yeah, so Murray, right? So
he's Louise.
So yeah, so we saw him in the bubble and how well he performed in the playoffs and whatnot. And then we're like, all right, let's see what he can do this year. And he started off this season incredibly slow. I mean, incredibly slow, and didn't look like the same player at all.
Wait a minute. Hold on. Once again, they played in the bubble. They made it to the Western Conference Finals. They played against LeBron James. Man, I mean, come on, bro. It's LeBron James. I mean, they're going to be tired. I mean, yeah, we're expecting more when you're playing like fantasy or something. You're wanting to draft a guy. It's like, oh, he's just going to continue this success. He didn't get out as early as a player like Donovan Mitchell. The dude played 7-game series over and over and over. I mean, yeah, Jokic isn't looking as worn down as Jamal Murray, but I mean, what can you expect from a guy who had a short offseason and who worked his butt off, dropping huge number stats in those games? I mean, we got to take that into consideration. Like, this dude was carrying in some of those games. It wasn't just Jokic. Like, that's when last year's playoffs is when we finally saw that, okay, this is not a one-man show team. Like, they got what it takes if they stick together and develop and get better. I mean, it's not just all relied on Jokic. Jamal Murray can shoulder some of that load. And to be honest, the way it started out, it's probably good for them because Jamal Murray needed that rest or that time to get things going. I mean, I would rather see him get going later than early and then fall off, Siakam. But yeah, I want Jamal Murray to thrive. Obviously, we want to see what he could do if he could repeat that success this year as he did last year. But man, the dude is tired.
So be it. I don't care.
Crickets, bro.
Yeah, I mean Murray's a good player, but I don't like.
You just don't like him because he don't play for the Warriors. So you'd rather have Andrew Wiggins.
I can make arguments.
No, there's no.
I mean, yeah, let's speak on MPJ a little bit. He's in his second year. He's a young guy. He's 22. Um, he's taken a good leap forward between his first and his second year. I saw that he's up. That was probably expected, but he's up in every category that matters really, except 3-point percentage. His 3-point percentage is a little down. I think he was over 50% though his rookie year, which is extremely impressive as a rookie. But I think he was still at like 48% this year, or something close to that. So it's still really good numbers. But I mean, field goal percentage, rebounds, assists, blocks, and steals, we're all up this year. As a team. One thing he's not. I would probably say Murray's a little bit better of a defender. If I had to pick one, but this whole thing comes down to biasness in my opinion. I'm not big on Murray.
You
That's
just
my
don't
that's my
like
big
him.
that's my biggest argument here. Like if I'm thinking of them, I'm like, man, I'm thinking about the two guys. I'm like, trade Murray, keep MPJ, get
Bro,
mainly any other point guard, and that's my opinion. I just don't. You need.
man.
I just feel like Denver needs someone that's just consistent. It just consistency, like Kelly Oubre, just consistency. They don't have to be great. Just somebody consistent. Somebody who ain't gonna go down at
Man,
one point of the year and go back up. Someone consistent, man.
you lucky that I'm not in my kitchen because I get my salt shaker and just salty on him, bro, because he's playing for Denver. He's light skinned enough to play for Golden State. You'd love him there. You'd love him.
Nah,
All right.
he's too inconsistent. It's the same reason I don't hate Oubre, but he's just not. I prefer guys that are just consistent. Consistent means a lot to me. I'm not saying they need to go out that they could trade him and go get a Dame or a Steph. I'm not saying anything like that. A Trae Young, a guy like that. But I feel like they could go get somebody who don't score as much and just be the same, if not better. I mean, and I wouldn't say average. I would say Murray's above average, but someone in that category. I think you bring Kyle Lowry in there and they do just fine. I mean, that's just my opinion. A lot of it's probably biasness, but I think MPJ has more upside. I will say that.
I think he's just going to clutter it up. He's going to clutter it up for Jokic.
Yeah. He ain't cluttered it up yet.
He's not doing a whole bunch sometimes.
What happened earlier this year, right? Denver, I think they were winning some games and stuff like that, but they weren't where they wanted to be. And who was it? Jokic that said that team wasn't going to be where they needed to be until they got MPJ more involved. And then, right?
For sure.
And
yeah,
then
I agree.
And then MPJ got more involved and they started winning more games.
Yeah, I mean, I agree. Yeah, I mean, definitely having those two guys that we're talking about with Jokic, I mean, that's an ideal situation. If you ain't got to trade either one of those guys and you can have a big three, why not? Yeah, that's not the problem. But it's which one? Who over who in this scenario? On your cue, Hugh. On your cue. If you're done with this, on your cue.
I've got about everything I needed to say, and I'm excited about this next one.
On your cue, buddy.
Because I can't see how you're gonna go.
Wait a minute. Do it quick. Who needs to subscribe before we get into this? Because this is about to get heated. Let's see who's listening.
Subscribe.
Hey, your mom subscribed yet?
I ain't talked to her.
All right. I hope she's doing well.
Yeah. Well, she's doing. I actually did talk to her. I just forgot to mention it. I talked to her for like 2 minutes. 2 minutes tonight. All right. Yeah. So this next one is an interesting one. I think it's the main event.
This is the main event.
Main event.
This is the main event.
Yeah, I can't. All right. So we got.
You might want to turn your head to the
guys. Nah, I'm gonna keep it on the back. I feel ready to go with it on the back. All right, so we're gonna talk about a couple guys from LA, and it's not the team that's most talked about in LA. It's the quieter team, the team you hear less about, but
the team you like to root for.
They just passed the other LA team in the standings tonight. We're talking about the Clippers, and we're talking about Kawhi Leonard versus Paul George. Now I am taking Kawhi Leonard, which means D taking PG-13.
PG-13. I like the way he played for us in OKC. End argument.
Do you want to go first? I can go first if you don't want to.
I mean, you can go in if you want to.
We'll probably go back and forth.
Can you talk like a robot since you're Kawhi?
I will say to anybody that don't know, D can do an amazing Kawhi Leonard impersonation. He can do this whole he can do all that. It's good. It's good though. And yeah, it's good. All right, but let's get into this one. All right. I do not see how anyone in their right mind could pick Paul George in this argument. To be honest, I'm not taking a shot at you. I'm just saying in general. Kawhi has so. I don't even know where to start, bro.
All right, let's just go back and forth then. Let's see if we feed off each other in this. Let me just start out with this. So far, Kawhi Leonard on the Clippers has been a bust.
Disagree.
Okay.
He hasn't won a chip yet. If that's what you mean. I'm not saying
PG hasn't been a bust, but I'm saying Kawhi. I mean, this is the guy that. Well, wait a minute. In 2019, the summer of, right after winning the championship for the Toronto Raptors, he's the greatest player in the league. He's the best player in the world. Kawhi Leonard, not Paul George. Kawhi Leonard. Ooh, the Clippers landed Kawhi Leonard. Wait, hey. Can y'all get me Paul George? Can you bring him in? Yeah, they ain't doing anything at OKC. Oh yeah, Kawhi and PG. Kawhi's the main guy. PG's in the shadow of Kawhi. He's the number 2 option. Kawhi's going to lead this team to victory. LeBron, you got a big threat. You got AD, but this is Kawhi and PG. Defense all day, all game long. Came out, won that game. I think it was the opening game for the 2019-2020 season against the Lakers. All this hype, bro. All this hype last year, man. All of it. You know what else came with that hype? Smoke.
What?
Smoke.
Yeah, I mean, it's extremely disappointing how that year ended. I think everybody
expected. Whose fault is it?
At least
Whose fault is it?
Western Conference Finals.
Whose fault is it? The most.
They blame Doc.
Nah, man, don't bring Doc Rivers. I mean, where's Philly right now?
Them.
Yo, we're Philly. Hey, shout out to your butt. Yo, YB36. Yo, where's Philly right now? Who won tonight? Let's just go back to the beginning of the video. Who won tonight?
Philly. I didn't say I thought it was Doc Rivers' fault.
Hey, who coaches Philly?
Doc Rivers. I didn't say I thought it was his fault. I said that's what they say.
Who said that? Whoa. Who?
Your boy PG said that.
Who backed that up? The greatest player in the world, according to 2019.
Nah. I mean, remember PG came out and was like, we didn't do nothing.
Kawhi backed that up. You would have thought his name was Juvenile.
I mean,
he backed it up.
You can take it. I don't see how you can look at these 2 players' resumes beside each other and pick PG.
We're not talking resumes, man. We're talking about the Clippers.
Okay. I mean, you want to know what happened in the playoffs?
I'm thinking trade Kawhi Leonard and get whatever you can for him because, Kawhi Leonard's a bigger name. Somebody will give you more than what you can get for Paul George. Paul George is great. We've seen the way he plays. He's going to play however he's playing. It doesn't matter. Kawhi Leonard, trade him. Maybe you get Jamal Murray and MPJ.
Disagree.
What?
I disagree.
What are you going to get for Paul George?
You said, hold on. You brought up the playoffs last year. Do I need to remind you? Playoff P?
Playoff P hit the backboard.
The dude couldn't hit a shot. He's bouncing him off the backboard.
Shoot,
from the corner, hitting him off the backboard. And you want to sit here and say, why'd they lose? You will blame Kawhi over them losing?
Oh, yeah, because Kawhi is the leader.
PG
You think LeBron?
PG
wait a minute.
Couldn't hit a shot.
But you think LeBron's going to let his team get discouraged like that? I'm talking Kawhi because he was once named the greatest player in the world. So that means I didn't say Kawhi was better than LeBron. Have they ever said Paul George
is better on this team?
No. Have they ever said Paul George is better than LeBron?
No.
Okay.
And I don't think logical people that were just caught up in emotion would say that Kawhi is actually better than LeBron. They're both amazing players. But I mean, the reason they lost, in my opinion, in the playoffs last year is Paul George, playoff P.
Because he
He
hit the
didn't show up.
backboard.
I know he said. I know. No, I know he said that. He was depressed and the bubble and all that stuff. I get that, but still, I mean, not to make excuses. I mean, the dude couldn't hit a shot. He's supposed to be the
Okay.
number two, the right hand man to Kawhi. He failed.
So wait a
I
minute.
mean, he failed.
So PG admitted that he had some emotional issues and he couldn't process things very well. How did the robot process things? What did he say? What was his problem? Because he had bad games too. What was his
that's
problem?
not bad like that.
He never said. Would he run out of oil? What happened, bro? He get
That boy
hacked.
does his job.
He's a
Man, he at
robot,
least
bro.
made his shot. He made shots.
No. What he needed to do was encourage his team, be vocal out there, be a floor general.
That ain't
You're the
who he
leader of the
is.
team, huh?
That ain't who he is. That was Montrezl Harrell's job. That
That's
was
the
Patrick
problem.
Beverly's job.
That ain't who he is.
No,
That
they have
ain't
their
who he
own
is.
role.
So
That's
if you're the
his role.
Clippers,
He don't like that.
trade him. Get somebody else that can
No,
fit that
don't
role.
trade him.
Get
No,
somebody else
because
who can fill that role. Go ahead and
Paul
trade him
George is more
trade him
outspoken
for
than Kawhi.
Kyle Lowry, Fred VanVleet, and Pascal Siakam. Put him with Paul George. Give Toronto back Kawhi Leonard.
Man,
Tell me why Kawhi is so good. Tell me why Kawhi is so good.
I'm shook. Okay. Let's hold on. Every other people I've gotten into numbers about. Let's look at numbers, right? This season. All right. So Kawhi is averaging about 3 more points a game. Kawhi's averaging pretty close to half a rebound more a game, so they're pretty close there. PG's averaging about half an assist more a game. Kawhi's averaging close to about a whole steal a game more, and then they're both averaging actually the exact same blocks per game. So, not too far off on the numbers. I would just say I still have trouble with why you pick PG, to be honest. But
don't worry about why I picked PG. Why are you picking Kawhi?
They're both good. They're both good defenders. I really like Kawhi on defense. They call him the claw for a reason. A boy. I mean, he can fit the ball in his hand just like that. It's pretty impressive. But anyways, you said I can't bring up
3 water bottles.
You said don't bring up his resume. Okay, I have to. He's won 2 NBA championships with 2 different teams. He went to Toronto, and we all know what he did. I mean, he just went crazy. And not only has he won 2 NBA championships, he's also got 2 Finals MVPs. So both championships he's went to, he's won the MVP. How many championships does PG have? How many MVPs does he have? How many finals has he been to?
Let me just throw a little bit of this out there. Yeah, Kawhi is a great
can carry
player.
A team. PG
Kawhi
cannot.
is a great player. Wait a minute. Kawhi is a great player, but when he won that chip in San Antonio, let's not forget he had Hall of Famers playing alongside of him. He had Tim Duncan there.
What about Toronto? Van Fleet?
Oh, okay. You're talking about a Toronto team. This is the thing. They traded away DeMar DeRozan to get Kawhi, a Toronto team who was like number 1 in the East, like literally the year before. But guess who was there in the East back then when they were winning? Guess. What is that?
LeBron.
Yeah. LeBron was there, bro. LeBron was there in the East. That was their kryptonite. They couldn't get past the guy, man. He's just all over them every single year. It didn't matter if he met them early in the playoffs or a little bit in the second or third round of the playoffs. I think the first and second round. So, sure, that's the biggest variable there in that equation. You take LeBron out. So you have a team that was already ranked high, and then you add Kawhi Leonard instead of DeMar DeRozan. Big ups to DeMar DeRozan. Shout out to him. But yeah, Kawhi obviously would be upgrade on that. But who's to say that they couldn't make it to the conference finals or the finals with DeMar DeRozan? I mean, LeBron wasn't there. I mean, even though they won the chip and they got as far as they did coming out of the the East, they still had a couple close games, like when Kawhi hit that shot over the Sixers. Yeah, that was clutch, but that was still a close game. So I mean, again, Kawhi was placed on a team that was already a great team. Now we're actually seeing Kawhi on a structured team that's supposed to be built for him specifically. Obviously, they were already a playoff team because they made the playoffs before and didn't really give up a whole lot to get him and Paul George. So now you're definitely the leader of the team, and the team is built around you. So you have that scenario going in, and on top of that, what did you do? Oh yeah, let me call. Hey, can you do me a favor? My uncle needs some money, and I want you to bring in Paul George. He got what he wanted. He got what he wanted. And you gonna keep doing that? Give him what he wants? Paul George sitting over there, not complaining, shooting shots off the backboard. So what? It happens. Give me Paul George. Give me Paul George. Give me Paul George, and I'll add pieces to him. I'll get whatever I can with Kawhi and milk that cow and get some assets and build with that.
Okay.
Okay.
We've seen what happens when Kawhi leads a team. We've seen what happens, okay? We go back to when PG leads teams. What happens? They lose in the first round of the playoffs every year. Most of the time. They lose first round of the playoffs. That just happens, okay? In my opinion, Kawhi can 100% carry a team. I think it's unfortunate what happened last year.
How
I
far?
think everybody
How
anticipated them to be a lot better team.
How far? How far is it
I
carrying?
mean, the West is stacked. The West is stacked. I mean,
this is the guy who was considered the greatest player in the world. It's supposed to be
last
stacked.
year,
LeBron went to the well.
last year.
I'm not trying to make this a LeBron Kawhi debate, but LeBron went to the West.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. I mean, last year, I think hands down, everybody expected Lakers Clippers, Western Conference Finals. Excuse me. But I mean, this year, you got Phoenix, you got Utah, you got Denver. You got a lot more factors. Do I think they're gonna make the playoffs? Absolutely. Do I think they're gonna make playoffs as a top 4 seed? Absolutely.
I mean,
it's hard to tell with playoffs. It's hard to tell about the playoffs.
Taking the blame for the playoffs. Paul George, yeah, he blamed
No, because he
Rivers.
shouldn't.
Kawhi, what? Paul George, blamed Doc Rivers initially, and then he came out about, the issues with his, mentality in the bubble. What is Kawhi sitting there doing? Playing in the background like, yeah, go ahead and take the fall because I'm good. You had 2 points.
Because it wasn't Kawhi's fault.
He had 2 points. 2 in the second half.
Paul George had 0.
Okay, but he's taking the blame. What is Kawhi Leonard doing? Making the team aggravated to the point where Montrezl Harrell is like, I'm going to play for the other team. I'm going to play for the other LA team.
Okay, let me get into it. Let me get into something else here. Okay.
Okay.
Let's switch this up a little bit.
All right.
Okay. This is Kawhi Leonard's 10th season. Okay, 10th season in this NBA. I don't think that was English there. 10th season in the NBA. Okay, this season, number 10 for him. He has his highest field goal percentage in his whole career in 10 years.
Okay.
He has his highest assists per game ratio or percentage, I guess you call it, in his whole career.
Okay.
And he has his second highest 3-point percentage in his whole career.
Okay.
So all that in his 10-year career. Okay.
Okay.
You know what? There's one category that Paul George has the highest rate in his career right now. Do you want to know what that is?
Yeah, tell me.
This season, turnovers per game.
Okay. He's carrying the load. He's carrying the load.
He's not carrying the load. If he's carrying the load, he'd be averaging more points, more assists, more rebounds, more steals, more blocks, more 3-point percentage. He doesn't.
Okay.
He's averaging. That's what I'm saying.
Look at his threes, man. Look at the threes.
He carries the team.
Look at the threes.
He's averaging 3.4
That's
a game.
Lot. It's like a splash brother.
I mean, Kawhi's
like a splash brother. You hear the water? You hear the drips? Splash.
Kawhi's too. I mean, yeah, it's not bad. But I'm just saying, we've seen what happens when PG is the leader of a team. They lose first round.
You don't have to be the leader.
Exceptions, but they lose.
You can build around them, but you can if you want a vocal leader, you trade Kawhi and get what you need.
This year, you said you get rid of Kawhi and PG's the guy.
Yeah, build around them.
That we've seen that. It don't work.
We've seen Golden State do it.
No, I'm talking about Paul George.
Well, I'm just going to do a quick comparison so you understand where I'm coming from. When you look at the finals back then, especially the first one that the Golden State won, Steph Curry was not the leader. It's Draymond Green. That's why you lost in 2016, because when he got kicked out of the game and he came back during that series, yeah, it was a totally different game because your leader, got kicked out. That didn't mean he was the best player on the court. He was the leader of the team. So that's what I'm getting at. So yeah, you could build around Paul George, but if you have a vocal leader or floor general type of guy, like, okay, for another updated instance, look at Chris Paul with the Phoenix Suns this year. Would you agree? Devin Booker's the better player. I mean, Chris Paul is putting up great numbers. He made the All-Star team, and then followed by Devin Booker being a fill-in for Anthony Davis. But of course, Devin Booker missed some time. But overall, a lot of people would agree that Devin Booker right now in his career is the better player than Chris Paul right now in his career. But at the same time, you have that floor leader. So that's what I'm getting at. What is Kawhi providing for the team as a floor leader? He had Kyle Lowry in Toronto. That guy was the energy. That guy was the heart, the soul. Kawhi didn't have to say a word. Just sit there and shoot. Make sure you're old up. Get the motion going.
Yeah, and that's all he wants to do, and that's all he's asked of him to do. Go play.
It's not enough. It's not enough.
He ain't asked to be that. Any team knows when they get Kawhi, they're not going to get a vocal leader. They're not going to get an outspoken guy. They're going to get a guy who's quiet and does his job, like Wiggins. I mean, obviously a lot better than Wiggins, but like Wiggins, like we talked about earlier. I mean, that's Kawhi isn't. I get that if that's expected from him, but it's not. That's not expected from Kawhi. No one. You think the Clippers brought him in and said, Kawhi, we expect you to get this team going. We expect you to bring intensity to practice and chapter. I'm not even speaking English. I'm so worked up right now.
I'm glad you're worked up, but that's the point.
The guys
that's the
and
point.
Get all this.
That's the point. The Clippers got it.
Did that. They don't.
The Clippers got it wrong. They didn't bring in another guy that would push Kawhi. They could have still had Kawhi as the number one option, but Kawhi wanted Paul George, another guy who's not really that vocal of a leader in that aspect. But guess what? When push comes to shove, they're going to look at the better player that's on the court and Kawhi. So one of these guys got to motivate the team. And you're not going to get much for Paul George versus Kawhi. But yeah, if Kawhi's not being that type of person, and they knew that, they did it wrong. They just did it wrong. They did it wrong.
Okay, and I'll say this. I'll say that this year, with the two together, I don't have them going out the West. With trading PG and just having Kawhi, I don't see him going out the West. With having PG and trading Kawhi, I don't see him out the West. I do agree with you that they're missing some pieces. I do agree with that, but I'm saying that if I'm to pick one of these two players to get rid of and one to keep, and which I think that the LA Clippers this season will have more success with, it is Kawhi Leonard. I'm not talking about the team, how it's put together. I'm talking about two guys specifically that I think Kawhi means so much more to that team than PG does. Kawhi, yeah, he's not the outspoken leader that you're talking about, but he's the leader. He does his job. He carries the damn team. He carries the team, and he does what's asked of him, in my opinion. I know we keep talking about the playoffs last year. That was very unfortunate because I think if they had a year to do it, last year was it, and they botched it. They botched it bad, and they lost a great coach over it. Now we see what he's doing in Philly. But Kawhi has just shown, 2 NBA championships, 2 finals MVPs. He's been in championships. He's done it. He's carried teams. I will say, not just because I'm a Warriors fan, I think everybody can agree with this. If KD and Clay were healthy for that series, the whole series, that the Warriors would have won pretty easily, probably. But I'm not gonna make excuses. The Toronto played great, and I'm gonna give them their flowers. But I mean, it's just PG. So we've seen that team with Kawhi. I know they had outspoken people like Lowry, like you said, to be there. But Kawhi was the main guy on that team, and he got the job done. And it's like PG. We've seen him as number one options on teams, and he does not get the job done. And even last year, we're like, all right, well, he's not the number one option no more. He's a number 2. He's there with Kawhi, and he still botched it. The playoffs. I mean, the dude's bricking him off the backboard. He's making 0 points.
Let me make a case for Paul George again. You know what he needs that Kawhi had gotten?
What?
5, 4, 3, 2.
I don't know what he's saying.
1. You don't know what it is? What the answer is? I asked you, what is the thing that Paul George needs that Kawhi usually gets, but he doesn't ask for? What is it? What is it? Say it.
Right. Load management.
Load management. That is the key. What if Paul George had load management last year? Maybe his mentality would have been healthier going into the bubble because of not having played so many games before. I mean, this is a guy that, okay, yeah, Kawhi's doing a lot better as far as playing more games this season in a shorter season. But I mean, he needs to play the games. You got to redeem yourself. But leading up to this, all you needed load management. Paul George didn't need load management. So if this doesn't work this year again, then what are they possibly going to do? Revert back to load managing your best player. Dude's under 30. Dude's under 30, man.
Yeah, and I will say that's the one thing I don't like, and that's, in my opinion, the one thing that hurts my argument is the load management. I'm not a fan of that. If, like, I'm trading PG and I just got Kawhi, I'm expecting him to play every game. But then also, I mean, that just speaks to the amount of talent he has and the amount of respect. You know, he says, hey, you know, I need a game or two off every now and then, or, you know, every so often, however they work that out, and they gave it to him. They're like, all right, man, you're our guy. And so I feel like the Clippers believe in what I'm saying.
What do they do?
If I feel like we're talking
what do they take Kawhi over to the garage and have Rick, you know, tune him up? Is that what they're gonna do? Is that what they do with the load management? Power wash him down, make sure he's all lubed and everything. Shout out to BDR.
Guy.
Yeah. Yeah. Toot. Yeah. I mean, come on. This lack of load management might catch up to him by the time the playoffs roll around. We don't know what the side effects of Kawhi playing all these games are going to be.
No, I mean, but
maybe the Clippers should start over and trade both of them.
I mean, to end this, because I've said about everything I needed to say. I like them two together. I do agree with you that talking about the Clippers team as a whole, how they could, you know, I think the loss of Montrezl Harrell to them was huge. I think last year he was that outspoken guy. And with at least these two guys, they don't have that role filled. And I do think that hurts them. And but I do like, you know, I do like PG and Kawhi's. I like their what's it called? I'm trying to think of the word here. Their connection, their
chemistry,
you know,
dynamic
chemistry. Yeah, chemistry. You know, being friends, and Kawhi specifically saying I want Paul George, and the Clippers getting that done for him. So I do like I like when, like, friends and people like that team up. I think it provides fun basketball to watch, and, you know, stuff like that.
SpongeBob said it best. F is for friends that do stuff together, like not scoring any points in the playoffs.
Yeah. Well, yeah. I mean, like I said, that was unfortunate, but yeah. So I mean, I like the Clippers. I think last year, if they were really serious about a chip, I think last year was the year for that. Obviously, this year, I don't see that happening. And then, you know, from years on out now in the West, you know, if it stays looking like how it is this year, it's gonna be tough for the Clippers unless they, you know, add another piece and make a couple of moves and do some stuff like that. But I think they're both great players. To be honest, you know, I have a lot of respect for PG. I think he's an amazing athlete. Yeah, I don't like knocking him because he's actually one of the really players I actually do like. But I just think if you're going to run a team, you know, we've seen what a Kawhi team looks like in the finals, winning them, and we've seen what a PG ran team looks like. Now, you know, if you trade Kawhi and keep PG, and then you bring in, you know, another huge superstar, I mean, we can just, you know, have this argument again. I'm talking about just the PG running the team versus Kawhi running the team, and I take Kawhi 7 days a week on that one. But yeah, that's my argument. I mean, I see where you're coming from. You don't have a bad argument there. I don't see how you can go against Kawhi here, man. It's Kawhi's amazing.
I gotta go on one side or the other. You know, I gotta go against the grain.
I understand. Yeah, I agree, dude. I think we went. Dude, to be honest, if I'm judging this debate, I think we each got 2.
How about this? How about if you're watching this, you know, full length segment of the podcast, or not a podcast, but the video here, leave in the comments who won these debates, or what would you do differently to argue these debates. Obviously, if you like the video, give us a thumbs up. Subscribe if you haven't subscribed. Catch us on anchor.fm if you want to listen to the podcast audio only versions, as well as Spotify, Pocket Casts, Google Podcasts. But yeah, definitely catch us here on YouTube on KISH YZ for more videos. But yeah, I definitely like these debates for sure. We're going to get some more of these in. But yeah, it's interesting to see what people think, because this is the point. The point is not necessarily to make the right decision, is to sound like you're making the right decision. You know what I mean? It's to debate,
Yeah.
to your point, even if it sounds ridiculous or not, if it's
You're
funny
hard
and
to
it
argue
makes
with.
sense.
You're hard to argue with.
I mean, if it's funny and it makes sense, they used to call me the car salesman when I play fantasy because of how I do stuff. But that's for another time. But I got to make sense of what I'm saying. I took some tough angles there, but I got to put something together to make people think, make you think too. So
Hey, for a little bit there, I thought you were beating me in the Wiggins Oubre, just the way you were doing it. But then I sat back and thought, I was like, no, we're having a Wiggins versus Oubre debate, right? I'm not losing this one. But you were just you were so spot on with it. I was like, man, he said, is he beating me right now?
I ain't gonna lie, you're already taking that L by having both those guys on your team currently.
I hear you. Yeah, give me Wiggins and Kawhi. I'll give you Van Fleet and Murray.
Okay, well, why don't you just take Wiggins and Oubre and Wiseman and get Kawhi from the Clippers?
I need a point guard.
You have a point guard, Draymond Green.
You
still got Draymond, Steph. You still got Draymond, Steph, and Clay. You'd be great. Yeah.
Oh, so I got Steph, I got Clay, I got Draymond, I got Kawhi, and I got Wiseman.
No, Wiseman and Wiggins and Oubre are gone.
Wiggins and Oubre. Oh, well, who's my five? Kevon Looney.
Kevon Looney. Kevon Looney.
We'll save that for the next debate right there. Hey, I think I'd rather have Joe Ingles' cousin starting at the 5.
Hey, we got to find out who that guy's name is, because I don't know what his name is or how to pronounce it. The foreign guy. Yeah. Hey, y'all look him up. I can't remember what number he is. There's a guy. He gets like really no playing time, but if it's scrap trash minutes, look out for the dude on Golden State. He looks like Joe Ingles' cousin. That's a whose man is this within the NBA. Joe Ingles, whose man is this? There's your cousin right there, Golden State. Pulls up kind of like him too, just a little bit slower maybe.
Yep.
But yeah, it's been great doing this. I don't know how long we were on this, but definitely give some shout outs here. Or wait a minute. I think we have 14 subscribers as of right now with this video. So I don't know if I can let you give a shout out, because I said we'd have to get 15. I'll let you give a shout out if you give us another subscriber in 24 hours. If not, you're going to hear about it on the next one. The choice is yours.
Okay.
I mean, you could easily get your mom to subscribe, but
yeah, I just haven't got around to it yet.
Okay, that's up to you.
I'll hop on it.
So are you giving a shout out or no?
This hard to do after a debate one. I just want to give.
What are you so worked up about? Well, you got some more.
I want to give you a shout out.
You got some more?
I know you take. No, I'm being nice. I said it's hard to do in a debate one to give you credit, but I feel like I should shout you out.
You ain't gonna give me credit.
Wasn't able to make it last night, and you picked up and ran one yourself, and you put a lot of time and effort into this podcast, and it's going well. It's going really well. So yeah, shout out to you and all the work you put in.
I appreciate the love. Problem. Yeah, and shout out to you, because without you, D Daly wouldn't have been possible last night. I mean, look at Groot right there. I mean, he loved it. He had a great time. He had as many words yesterday as you did.
That boy quiet.
I mean, he spoke as much as you did yesterday for the D Daly.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, he literally was in the.
His facial expression never changes either.
Should
He
it?
never cracks a smile or laughs or anything.
I mean, he's a serious person. That's what you should do is take him serious, very serious.
He'd be good at poker. He got that poker face.
You call him Groot Lady Gaga?
This
This has gone a little bit too far.
I figured you would make a reference there.
This has gone a little bit too far. He's Kid Cudi, by the way. so yeah, yeah. Like I said, thank y'all for watching and listening. Subscribe if you haven't, and hopefully we get to 15 subs here soon. And give us a like, and tell us what else you would like to see us debate about. And catch us for, I think we have episode 10 coming up next. Hugh, if you're in the mood, we can get that done tomorrow. I don't know exactly what we'll do, but it'll be our 10th actual podcast episode. I mean, I know we got a lot of videos out here on YouTube, but I try to keep track of the number of actual podcasts that we do and name those episodes. Once again, this has been another KISH debate. Say bye to the people, Hubert.
See you, people.
Peace and love.